Thanks for your support as a channel member, Ren's Nans! It's that time of the week again, folks. It's time to put some predictions on the board for this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. Hello folks, it's another race week, and that's the third in a row. It's a triple header, and we all need a break after this, I think, because you can have too much of a good thing, even if it is Formula One cars on racetracks. We move from a circuit where you definitely can't overtake to a circuit where you maybe can overtake a little bit with the aid of DRS. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya is the 9th round of the season, and there's a front wing test regulation change to stop the flexi wings, which may or may not be the entire reason why McLaren are fast, but we'll let you decide that, or whether they've got water in the tyres, or if, I don't know, what other ludicrous theory people are going to come up with next. They're just far-fetched. The McLaren is a very good car, and I think it's going to be another very good car performance around the Spanish circuit. So let's get some predictions straight up on the board then to start with for the Spanish Grand Prix. Pole position, and having said that the McLaren is going to be very, very good, I'm going with Max Verstappen on pole position because that's logic and that's how it works. What we've seen so far this year is that Red Bull are able to get the car generally into a window at high-speed circuits. You think back to Jeddah and to Suzuka, where there's a lot of high-speed corners around those circuits, and the Red Bull was able to excel because that's what it does very, very nicely. It does it actually better than the McLaren, and they were able to get pole at Imola. They were able to get the lead at Imola and stay ahead because they had a good package there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, but I think if Verstappen has the pole, he'll be difficult to beat, but he will be beatable because you can overtake in Spain, which means my podium looks like this. Oscar Piastri to re-extend his championship lead over Lando Norris, bring it up to 10 points with the British driver in second place, and Max Verstappen falling to third. Watch out for the Mercedes this weekend. They could have a good car for the circuit, but they could also be rubbish on their tyres, because we saw in Imola when it was hot, they basically melted them, and I fully expect Ferrari to be back in the front of the midfield again like they were in Miami, because the car was in a sweet spot in Monaco. It didn't have to run the adjusted rear ride height to stop them being disqualified like they were in China, but it's still going to be reasonably fast, so it's not going to be anywhere near as quick as it was in Monaco. So yeah, no Ferraris, no Mercedes on this podium. Now, we had a special bold prediction once again, and this one centered around Alpine and where they're going to qualify. So, Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto. I think Gasly is going to be 13th on the grid, and I think Colapinto is going to be 17th fastest in Q1. So, no Alpine in the top 10. We'll come to some of your predictions on this as well, and we'll also come to my Spurs won a trophy, so anything can happen prediction surely in a moment. But first, here's what you think is going to happen in the Spanish Grand Prix. Okay, here we are then. So I asked you for your pole position winner, your top three, and where the Alpines will qualify. We'll start with George R, who says Max Verstappen's going to get pole, but Lando Norris is going to win the race ahead of Piastri and Verstappen. So basically what I've said, but with Lando winning instead of Oscar. Pierre Gasly 14th, close to, this is almost word for word what I said, isn't it? So I said Gasly 13th, George has said 14th, and Colapinto, we both agree, will be 17th in qualifying. So a message from Sharky, he's gone for Piastri on pole and to win in a McLaren 1-2 ahead of Verstappen, and he's got his where is it? There it is, his Alpine qualifying positions. Colapinto 17th and Gasly in 15th. So thank you for those, Sharky. Let's go next to Knight, who says Max Verstappen will also get pole position, but Piastri will win the race ahead of Verstappen and Leclerc. Interesting. What's going to happen to Lando Norris? Where is he going to go? Gasly is going to finish 12th in qualifying and Colapinto 14th. So both Alpines into Q2. Good shout there from Knight. JF Clips says Verstappen on pole, but Norris to beat the Dutchman to the victory with Piastri in third. Interesting, very interesting. That would be A turnaround from last year, wouldn't it? Because obviously Norris took pole and then finished second to Verstappen in 2024. Gasly to qualify 15th. Colapinto on the back row in 19th. Interesting predictions. Alfie, another one going for Verstappen on pole position. But this time the Dutchman converts it into victory ahead of Norris and Hamilton. Wow. Not even I think Hamilton's going to be anywhere near a podium this weekend. That is a very bold prediction. Colapinto 18th, Gasly 13th in qualifying. Interesting. Electric Gaming's up next. Oscar Piastri pole. Oscar Piastri win ahead of Lando and Lewis. What is with the delusion here? Alfie and Electric Gaming, what have you eaten for breakfast to think that Lewis Hamilton's going to be on the podium? That's crazy. I wholly disagree. Unless we have a bonkers race, I just can't see it happening. Right, Gasly 12th in qualifying. Colapinto 17th. It's probably a bit more sensible. But Electric has gone with a special prediction of Fernando Alonso to announce his retirement from Formula One again. Wow, okay. I don't think we'll see that. I think he's sticking around for 2026 because Adrian Newey is cooking. Possibly. Depending on what Aston Martin are giving him. He said the tools aren't good enough, so bad workman blames his tools. Maybe he wasn't behind the Red Bull success. We'll see. Opjo has gone for Oscar Piastri on pole, but Lando Norris to turn the tables and win on Sunday ahead of Piastri, Leclerc and Verstappen. Colapinto will qualify 17th and Gasly will qualify 14th. Crazy Plays has gone with Max Verstappen to take pole position and then win the race ahead of Piastri and Leclerc, with Gasly qualifying 12th and Colapinto in 15th. Interesting. That would be quite... where's Lando Norris ending up here? I don't quite see how we're not having both McLarens on the podium. I mean, at least it gives us a few different drivers to mention, I suppose. Right, here's another driver to mention. Lando on pole, but he's not anywhere on Louis' podium because it's Piastri, Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli. And Alpine front row lockout. Just kidding. Gasly 14th, Colapinto 18th. Interesting prediction from Louis. George Russell is Henry Stevenson's pick for pole position ahead of everybody else. And then the podium is Norris, Leclerc and Hamilton. Wow, double Ferrari podium. Henry, I want to know how this race plays out. How are Ferrari getting both cars on the podium after George Russell starts on pole position? Talk me through this weekend. Gasly qualifies 12th, Colapinto qualifies 14th. Rennes is next, Verstappen on pole, and he goes on to win ahead of Piastri and Norris. The Alpines qualify 17th and 19th. And then finally, we've got Lokapup, who says Alonso gets pole and wins by 20 seconds. Just joking, here's my actual predictions. Norris for pole. Interesting, but it's Verstappen who takes the win ahead of the two McLarens. Gasly qualifies 14th and Colapinto qualifies in 17th. Some very interesting predictions here. Very wide-ranging, I would say. Some bordering on delusion, some just completely nuts. And that's why we love it. We love the predictions. So thank you to everyone for sharing those. Much appreciated. Now, it's time for my Spurs have won a trophy, so anything is possible. Predict. So, anything can happen in this prediction. Nothing is out of reach in terms of wackiness and boldness. Anything is possible. Fernando Alonso is going to finish in the top 5 for Aston Martin at his home race. He's without a point this season. He should have got a point in Monaco, but the car went pop and he didn't finish. So that's not going to help you score any points. I think Fernando Alonso is going to finish 5th in this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix, and he's just going to put a number 1 next to that 0, and that's just a nice easy way of picking up some points, isn't it? Thank you once again to everyone who submitted their predictions. It's going to be another fascinating weekend of action at the Spanish Grand Prix. Will McLaren remain on top? Will Verstappen be able to disrupt their control at the front? And what will Ferrari and Mercedes achieve? Or will they be surprised by perhaps Aston Martin or Racing Bulls? We'll have to wait and find out. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you next time. You're the best fans. It's bye for now.